we are heating some water. All right, here we go. We're gonna hook the hose up, let it flow, just make sure there's no leaks, and we're gonna bolt the top on. There's all the fire brick inside. That worked really well. I have high hopes for this. Welcome back, folks. My name's Cole, and I should be inside working on that snowcat project, but you're gonna see the full ADHD side of my brain, and I got a spur of the moment project that I really wanna take care of. So if you're familiar with my channel, you'll recognize this rocket stove water heater I built back earlier this year. It worked pretty good as a proof of concept. However, there were a few issues. The first issue is that the fire is just not big enough in this to get the heat into the water that I needed to heat up our stock tank hot tub. The second issue with a rocket stove water heater design is that rocket stoves rely on a significant draft to get that rocketing effect to really burn aggressively. And when you start cooling down the flue gases by trying to put that heat into water, it slows the draft, and then it all starts to fall apart, and it doesn't draft as fast, it doesn't burn as hot, and it really starts to struggle. So, me needing a new project like I need a hole in the head, I've decided to start one. So my goal is to really try and repurpose this water jacket, the heat exchanger. It's completely stainless steel. It worked really good. It holds about 2 gallons. And the design I have planned in my head is to install this in more of a standard style wood stove where I can have a much larger fire. This is gonna sit inside the firebox, so the flames will be licking all these sides, transferring the heat really well, and then all the flue gases are gonna have to go through the boiler tubes to go up the flue. So the heater we currently use right now for our stock tank hot tub works pretty good. It's got copper coils, which are so much better at transferring heat than stainless. However, you can't run them dry, otherwise the copper's gonna melt out. The other issue is it's just not capturing enough of the heat off the fire, so I wind up having to burn an excessive amount of wood to get the heat into the water. And I think by going with a completely closed-in firebox design, much like a wood stove, we're gonna contain that heat a lot more. We're gonna be not only sending it into the boiler tubes, but the outside casing as well, like I mentioned. The bottom's gonna be aligned with fire brick. It's gonna have a viewing window that should be pretty cool, and I really do have some high hopes for this project. So with that being said, I got a fresh tank of welding gas, a new sheet of metal. Let's go get this stuff set up on the CNC table and start some cutting, and yeah, this is gonna be fun. So that's going to be the front and side. That'll be the side and back. Go ahead, get these tacked together. We need to put the door frame on, and then I wanted to wait till I got it together to take a measurement for the top and bottom, just in case there's any discrepancy. I didn't want to cut it out and just be a fraction too small. So we'll get that and then cut it out. This is going to be the viewing window. The heat exchanger is going to be right in on the top. Water pipes will come out the side. Flue will come up the back. Yeah, and we'll put some wheels under it, fire bricks. Ah, yeah! Well, one of the fun parts of this project too is we get to use our brand new Everlast 253 double pulse MIG welder. We'll be running it on single pulse mode, so that's getting into a spray transfer. It'll sound a lot different than you'd used to if you do any MIG welding, like short circuit, which is really common. It's pretty neat. It lays in a heck of a bead. May have to get it dialed just a little bit, but eventually I'm gonna do a video on this and how to play with it and the settings. It's a really neat machine. And then eventually I'm gonna make a cart for it and everything. There's a lot of eventuallys. While that's cooling down, let's go ahead and start making some of the bends on the door. It's gonna have a bend on either side and then weld on a top and bottom, put some hinges on it, a nice little latch. We've gotta cut the top, get the heat exchanger mounted, and we're getting there. While we're over at the bender, I'm gonna go ahead and there's gonna be these fire brick keepers for when we put them in, they'll keep them in place. I'm gonna go ahead and bend these out too. Morning, Taco. Whoa, it's slippery. Morning there, Buttons. How you doing there, rabbits? She likes him. Hey, girl. How you doing? How's your tunnel doing? All right, well, obviously it's a new morning. We got quite a bit done yesterday afternoon on building this. Last night I went ahead and cut out a lot of the remaining parts, including the top and just some of the extra pieces. So we are all ready to go to keep assembling this, finish the door, and my goal is to test it out today. It's a pretty nice day. I'm hoping that we can try and heat some water in the hot tub and see if it works. So let's get back to some more welding and fabbing. I'm really loving how this looks. It looks slick. So it's heavy though, oh boy. Good thing it's gonna be on wheels, because geez, not gonna be all that portable. Okay, so there are gonna be fire bricks that line the bottom and the sides. It's really gonna help out to send the heat upwards, not down, and keep the bottom from burning out from the intense heat. But we need to do a couple of things. We need to put a couple little corner spacers in to help the bricks sit where I want them. And then we need to put some keepers in on the top side to keep them from all falling out. So the side bricks will go in first, and then the bottom ones. That way the side bricks can't fall around. So let's get that welded in. There we go, piece of angle. Well, working in here is not that easy, and videoing it is even harder, but I went ahead, I got all the fire brick spacers and keepers put in, and let's get the feet on this so it's at least at a nice working height on the floor. We're gonna put wheels on the back, feet in the front, and we're getting really close. And once we're pretty much done all of this, we'll move towards the water jacket. Well, like most things on this project, we are just bending them, so we're gonna do the same with the feet. Using basically one sheet of metal, and we can make all the parts we need. Yeah, there's a front leg. All right, well, I do understand the obvious problem here. I have plastic wheels on something that's gonna get really hot, but they're what I had, they're what's available, and if they melt, then I change them. There's a chance they might be okay. Well, we're gonna have to make some modifications to this heat exchanger. First of all, the inlet and outlet are on the wrong spots. So we gotta take one of these nipples, move it down to the bottom so that it can almost fully drain. We'll move the other one to the top, so we gotta cut these off, blank them, put some new holes in it. This was the collector portion that sat on the rocket stove, and we need to cut this down quite a bit. And then this was also the outlet, and we need to modify it so that when we put the lid on and a flange, the flue pipe will just connect right in. Really shouldn't be too hard. We just gotta get the TIG welder set up. We'll get this modified, fit it into the wood stove, and yeah, not too many things left. So I really wanna test this out today. We'll get a fire rolling, be pretty cool. All right, I have all my flue sections cut out, and I will admit I screwed up. I meant to, bend and only make 2 long welds, and I screwed up because I accidentally cut out my first 2 parts that were just independent sides. So I'm gonna kind of lean into this mess up, and it's just gonna mean a lot more welding for me, but I'm gonna weld this piece of 4 3/4 inch box section is what it'll become. And then we'll cut a 45, spin it, weld it onto the back of the wood stove, and that's pretty much our flue. We'll put a little top cap on it to keep rain from getting in, because this thing will mostly sit outside, but let's get this welded up. It was going so well, and then I wanted to just peen the threads on the backside so they don't loosen. Cracked it. This is a $100 piece of glass. Well, I'm a little peed off about that glass. I knew that was gonna happen. I had a bad feeling that was gonna happen. Oh well, it'll still work fine. We'll see through it. It's just gonna piss me off, that's all. But I went ahead and I'm gonna try and not let that bother me because I wanna get this done today and test it. So went ahead, marked the holes for the inlet, outlet water. We're gonna use a step bit. Let's knock those out. Then I can mark them on the heater. I'm trying to not let breaking that glass bug me too much, but we're almost done. We're so close, so let's get it wrapped up. All right, well, we're at that point in a build where it stops going well. It's gone so well, I'm so happy with that, but I just realized that I'm gonna struggle to get my water jacket in the way I wanted to put it in. Struggle as in it won't work. So I've been trying to figure out how I'm gonna do that because I have 3/4 inch stainless pipe with no dies to put external threads on it, so that doesn't help me. But I do have a couple of 1/2 inch stainless nipples. In order to get this in, it can't have the nipples sticking out because that's gonna interfere with the stove and I need to slide this into place. So I need threaded bungs. Well, I didn't have a stainless coupling to cut in half, but I did have a stainless union. Now, I'm sure this was quite expensive, but I think I'm gonna scavenge each side of this, weld them as bungs on my water jacket. Then I'm gonna take the one piece of stainless tubing I have left, 1/2 inch, these two pieces I'm gonna reuse, and then I'm gonna make 2 pipes like this, and I'm gonna weld my 1/2 inch threaded pieces on either end, and then this will come from the outside of the stove to the inside, thread in to the water jacket, top and bottom. Bob's your uncle. I can still have a hot tub tonight. Yeah, we're getting a little sketchy, but I think I'll be able to make it work. Okay. Sure hoping this doesn't leak. I really didn't want a threaded fitting inside, but we'll just tighten it so it galls up and welds itself. Yeah, that's never coming undone. All right, there we are. I was a little less happy with how that went, but let's get the top on and put some fire bricks in it and we're good to go. I am bolting on the top because just in case I need to make changes or I want to do a different heat exchanger or I want to repurpose that in something else, we can unbolt it and get access to everything. I'm gonna secure the top down with these 5/16 by 18 stainless bolts. It's absolutely way overkill for this, but I accidentally bought 1/2 inch long 5/16 bolts and I will never use them. When do you use a 1/2 inch bolt? It's pretty rare. So might as well use them up in this. Yeah. All right, well, we're working away, getting some fire bricks in. Just trying to figure out the pattern that's gonna make the best use of the bricks I got. Let's see, buddy.
There's one left in the pack.
Okay, we have one more pack.
What happened to the other pack?
Oh, that fits perfectly.
I thought
Okay.
you had 3 packs of them.
I do. There's another pack inside.
Well, where's the 3rd one? Still, also.
It's inside, yeah. Okay, so we got to cut. We need those 5 3/4 long ones. We need 2 at 5 3/4.
I have them. I'm getting the 2nd box.
Okay. You want to keep kind of me and it in the center. All right, I got my little cameraman helper, and let's wheel this down, put some water pressure to it. All right, here we go. We're gonna hook the hose up, let it flow, just make sure there's no leaks, and we're gonna bolt the top on. There's all the fire brick inside. That worked really well. I have high hopes for this.
And there's a crack.
I know. I'm not happy about it. I knew it was gonna happen though. Because this guy and glass doesn't get along. Okay, bud, let's get the hose.
This might leak and... oh gosh. Well, nothing seems to be happening.
So one of the reasons I have the outflow on the top, I know some people like to reverse flow it. That lets all the air out of the heat exchanger as well. If I put the inflow on the top, we'd have a problem getting the air out. There we are.
It's finally getting into it.
Woohoo! Guess what, Carter? I don't see any leaks either. Yes! All right, well, the exchange is full. Let's turn off the water and bolt the top on. I think bolting this top on is going to be the most time-consuming step. If it doesn't seal well, I'll probably put some refractory cement or something in there, but for now I'm just gonna try it the way it is. All right, I think the time has finally come to fire this up. And if you got a keen eye, no, there is no pressure relief valve on this right now. I will probably put one in with a T-fitting, but for now, it is an open loop. The one end of the hose is open. This isn't gonna build pressure. I'm not intending it to be really a boiler. It's a water heater. So I will wind up putting a PRV on there just in case. But for testing purposes, it's not on there. I just wanted to mention that. Second is I got smart. My Taco, our 5-month-old, decided to sample my drink. So got one with a lid on it. I'm really happy. I think this thing is going to work fantastic. I'm going to call it fantastic. Guess it's time to get some firewood cut up and let's light it up. Here we go. I think it needs to get hot before I try and force the draft. Okay, well, like anything, it's a little bit of fine tuning. This is probably in that 105 degree Fahrenheit hot tub temperature, 104, you know. I slowed the flow going down to let the heat exchanger warm up a little bit to try and help the condensating. And then I figured that would help the draft too. So that seems to be working. This is coming out, you know, it's fairly cold lake water going in and we have hot tub coming out. So that is putting a lot of BTUs in quite quickly. So pretty happy about that. All right, keep playing. All right, we're, I don't know, hour and a half into this burn here and we got a heck of a pile of coals in there. Now, one problem that maybe some have identified is I'm having a drafting problem. Trying to make the flue gases go through all those boiler tubes to get out just wants to stall the fire. So, I'm not going to leave this video here. We are going to add in a secondary flue that ties into the main flue, maybe bring that up a little bit more. We can open the damper wide open and it'll take hot flue gases from right up at the top, send them into that flue on an angle, and my hope is that it acts like a little bit of a venturi, continuing to pull some flue gases through the boiler tubes and up. And then as the fire or the water gets hot, we can damper that down to send more through the boiler tubes and dial in the efficiency. Yeah, I'm getting a little complicated, but I think that will work fairly well. We are heating some water. Rarely do things go the way you want the first time, but this has a lot of potential and we're just experiencing a bit of a drafting problem. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise, but I think adding in a secondary flue with a damper to help get hot, aid in startup, and then we can tune it. We can fiddle with that and it might not have all the gases going through the boiler tubes like I wanted, but the combustion being better, more aggressive, and being able to shut the door should compensate. So, all right, couple of modifications. We'll do that. I'm not going to end the video here. We'll continue on. Okay, well, we're back at this another weekend, and that testing revealed some things. Some of the things I expected, some of the things I didn't. One of the things I did expect was all the condensation coming off that heat exchanger. In any of the versions of wood-fired water heaters I've made, that's always a thing, and it's just due to the fact that you have that near ice cold, in this case, incoming water, and any form of combustion creates condensation. And with that really cold water coming in, it's just a perfect spot for everything to condensate, and you see that water dripping off. It almost looks like it's leaking. It's not leaking. We did leak check it, and I also pressure checked it. I closed off the hose, and everything would have come to the system pressure of the water in my house, which would be about 50 to 60 PSI, and there's no leaks. So that's all just condensation dripping off, but I know that that tends to go away as the water heats up. If I recirculate through the hot tub, that condensation goes away once the water comes up to temperature and it's less of a differential. Now, the fire was burning pretty good. I'm really happy with the size of the firebox, and the fire bricks in there really sent a lot of the heat up. Very little heat came down to the ground. Wheels didn't melt, so that was kind of a bonus. But it did have an issue drafting, and I kind of thought this might happen. I'm asking a lot of those flue gases to go up and then have to come back down through the boiler tubes and out the flue. And on a cold system, it got a little better once everything warmed up and it drafted a little bit more. But with those tubes being cold with that cold water, the flue gases really don't want to go through there. You know, they're having to come down, go horizontal, and then back up. And that's a little tough. It didn't want to draft very well. So that is a problem we have to address. My thoughts on addressing that issue are going to be, we're going to put a secondary flue. And I mean, if I had addressed this before I built it, I would have done things a little differently. I'm going to put a secondary flue that comes out of the top here on a 45 into the main flue, and we'll put a bit of a damper in it. So when everything's cold, the water's cold, the hot tub's cold, the firebox is cold, we can open that damper right up. All of the fire and flue gases will go up and around the heat exchanger, out the top, into the other flue on a 45, with my hopes that that will help create a little venturi and pull some heat through the exchanger as well. Once everything gets up to temperature and things are drafting a little better, then I think we can close off the damper in that flue and force a bit more of the heat through the exchanger and out, which will bring the efficiency up. But in order to help it get started and draft better and get a better fire, a more aggressive burn, I do believe we gotta make that mod, but it won't be too hard. I think we can knock that out pretty quickly. And something else that I should have thought about but really didn't was there's really no reason in this firebox for the back to burn well. The flue gases don't escape through the back, so you're not bringing the oxygen across the whole fire. The flue gases come out near the front, so the fire tended to burn in the center and the front side, which is common of a lot of wood stoves. But what I think we can do, those little spacers we put in the corners down here to space the fire bricks up, I'm gonna put holes right here that's gonna allow air to go in and get pulled through to the back. I may even put a bit of tubing in to direct the air to the back of the wood stove, and then the fire will be able to suck that air up. The fire bricks aren't fit that tight. There's lots of areas back there for the oxygen to come in. And I think that's gonna help spread the oxygen across the fire better and really improve that burn. Because the better the burn, the hotter that we can get it, the better it drafts, the better it pulls fresh air in, and it's gonna bring everything up. So I guess first steps are we need to take out some of this ash. I'll get the fire bricks out. All right, well, it's probably hard to see in here, but there are some good openings in the back for the oxygen to come in and these spacers are welded fairly tight to the front, so I don't think I need to put a tube in there. I think the only thing we need to do is use we're just going to go ahead and drill some circles right there, and maybe put just little pieces of pipe angling down so that water doesn't go in, because this thing's going to sit outside most of the time. So yeah, let's do that. That'll solve this problem pretty quickly. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna officially call this done. We are gonna have to test it again, but this video has gotten pretty long on me, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a separate testing video, and I'd like to take a bunch of measurements: inlet water temperature, outlet water temperature. We will see how much water we can heat and how fast, and we should be able to get some numbers like the BTU value approximate of what we're putting into the water, just to give you some frame of reference of how much energy this is actually transferring in. And I think we improved it significantly. So stay tuned for that video. I'll do that one as a follow-up. I really wanted it all to be in one video, but that's all right. We'll have some fun with the testing of this. So I'm gonna leave that there. Thank you everyone so much for following me along on one of my spur of the moment projects. And I will be getting back to that snowcat build really shortly here. I just, yeah, had some other things I wanted to do. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.